Hi people, it's Archivist here, and today I'm going to be doing a guide on my Cyberse deck, how to play it, a little bit of a tutorial against the AI, and if you're interested in using this deck, at the end I'll do a quick summary of the composition of this deck if you want to try it out yourself. So the idea here is to link summon multiple times in order to build up to the most powerful link monsters in the extra deck. Now, there's like an extra level to this, but today I'm just going to focus on going up to Access Code Talker. And the important thing is to keep this card in mind because this is what you are ultimately building to in order to get maximum attack power. Which, as I show it on the screen there, might seem a bit strange because it only has 2,300 attack. But its strength comes when you sacrifice a link monster with, say, link 3, and then it will gain 3,000 extra attack points. And furthermore, you can banish link monsters from your graveyard and then destroy cards on your opponent's field, removing traps, spells, or indeed monsters so they're open for a direct attack. So that's the objective, but let's start playing through the deck. Most of the monsters in this deck are not in themselves that powerful. They're more about bringing out more monsters so we can continuously link summon. So let's begin by playing Lady Debug. When we summon Lady Debug, we can bring a card to our hand, and let's go with, let's see here, let's go with Code Generator. Now, the great thing about cards in this deck is that you can use link materials from your field, but also from your hand in some cases. So Code Generator, which I just chose, for example, can be used as a link material, even though it's just in my hand. Same goes for Microcoder and also Code Exporter. However, this is not every link monster, it does need to be a Code Talker. So let's begin with our very first link summon. We're going to summon out the basic Code Talker. We're going to choose Lady Debug from the field, and also Microcoder from our hand. And the great thing about a lot of these monsters that you can sacrifice from your hand is that there will be an extra effect. Now, just to quickly explain, when we link summon, we have to begin by link summoning into the extra zone, but then we can use the link arrows around the portrait in order to bring in more links and extend out our field. We can now activate Microcoder, which we sacrifice, and therefore we can bring a card to our hand. And I'm going to choose Cyanet Codec, because if we activate this, we will now be rewarded for every single link summon we complete. Next, I'm just going to play Cyanet Storm, though this is more just for later. Give us some extra attack power if we need it. So the next summon we're going to do is going to be to create, let's go with Transcode Talker. Now, when I want to summon Transcode Talker is a link 3. So by default, I would need to sacrifice 3 monsters. However, if I choose Code Talker, which is a link 2, I can actually use it as 2 materials. And then I can choose another one from my hand, and I'm going to choose Code Generator. So let's place it in the link zone. And the reason I decided to bring out Transcode Talker was because I can actually resurrect a link monster after doing so. But let's look at these effects. So we get rewarded by Cyanet Codec, so we can bring monsters to our hand. And Code Generator, we can send a card to the graveyard. So if we look at that, I'm actually going to choose Dotscaper to go to the graveyard, because if Dotscaper goes to the graveyard, I can then bring it right back. We also need to bring a card to our hand. I'll choose Widget Kid. So now let's get Dotscaper onto the field so it can be used for later link materials. Plus it's got decent defense in its own right. Okay, so the next move is going to be bringing back Code Talker. So let's do that right now. So Code Talker is back, meaning we've got more potential for link summoning. We can also bring Sea Archiver onto the field as well, more potential for link summoning. And now we're going to go into another powerful link monster in the form of Xcode Talker. So let's do that right now. We can use 2 materials here, and we're going to use Code Exporter from our hand. So we're going to do the link summon right now. This is a really good extension for the field, pointing left and right and up. And we're also getting some link benefits between our link monsters that are pointing to each other, like immunity from card destruction or not being able to be targeted by card effects, which is great. We've also got some more effects here. So Xcode Talker can deny one of their zones, Cyanet Codec, so we get the benefit from X-Code Talker being summoned for a wind attribute Cyberse monster. And then Code Expulsor, which can bring back a card from the graveyard to our hand, though admittedly that's more set up for later, so we probably won't get too much off the back of that. So we're resolving it, bringing back Lady Debug for later, Cynet Codec, let's bring Parallel Exceed, and you'll see why in a second, and then X-Code Talker. So let's do yet another Link Summon, and this time we're going to go into the big one, Access Code Talker. So we're going to do that for 3, and then we're going to use Sea Archiver for 1. Going to place it underneath Transcode Talker, and now we have a very powerful monster out on the field. So we're going to select our effects. Access Code Talker, selecting X-Code Talker can inherit those 3 links and gain 3,000 extra attack. And Cynet Codec will reward us just for summoning Access Code Talker once again. So you can see Cynet Codec is such a great card, like every single link summon there's a benefit. And then also Parallel Exceed, which I brought to my hand, if I successfully link summon, can then be summoned to the field as a result, right next to the link monster. So if we resolve that, we summon in Parallel Exceed, we get Cynet Codec, bring a card to our hand. Let's go with Cynet Synchron, I think. And then Access Code Talker gaining its attack. But then, when we did that special summon of Parallel Exceed, we can then bring another one from our deck, which we will do now. And these are level 4, well, they've been reduced from level 8 to level 4 as a result of their effect. And they're 2 level 4s, and we're going to use this to Exceed summon Firewall Exceed Dragon, which gains a lot of attack power just from being linked to a high link rating monster. So we're going to place it to the left so it's not getting in the way of the other links. Place it here. Huge amount of attack on its own. So we're getting close now, if not like almost there really. So I'm going to use Cynet Mining, which is good for searching out monsters in the deck, and I'm going to send Cyberse Synchron to my graveyard, and we're going to bring, let's see here, what can we choose? Let's go with Code Radiator, another one where we can sacrifice from the hand. So then I'm going to use Special Summon, and we're going to go with Inverse Code Talker. And we'll choose Dot Scaper on the field, and then we'll use Code Radiator from our hand. Code Radiator, when sacrificed, can actually do some, well, negative effects to our opponents, and you'll see it in a second. But Code Talker Inverted has the ability to special summon a monster into its link arrows. So let's go through these. And Cynet Codec rewarding us just for the link summon once again, selecting the monster. It's also good to get this card to your hand for next turn if anything does go wrong. So we're going to then reduce this to 0, so we've got less to deal with. So here we go. Down to 0, barely a threat now. Cynet Codec, card to the hand. Let's go with, oh God, what are we choosing now? Let's go with Backup Secretary. And then Code Talker Inverted, we're going to use Widget Kid. And we're going to normal summon here. And we're going to activate Widget Kid's ability to then bring a monster from our hand down. So actually we did use a little bit of use from Lady Debug. And now let's move into our final link summon, I think. Let's go with Firewall Dragon. So 2 there, and then 2 from our weaker monsters. As we go here. And we have Firewall Dragon, another powerful link monster. And now we're going to use Access Code Talker's ability. I'm not sure how useful it is, but actually no, instead I'm going to use Firewall Dragon's ability, where I can return a card on the field or the graveyard. Well, really anything to the hand. It's really a lot of potential there. And I'm going to go with actually Crystal Rose, because that can be useful for their graveyard. So I'm actually going to take it out of their graveyard and do that, just in case, again, we don't survive. And then I'm going to use Access Code Talker's ability, although maybe a bit overkill, to dismiss a card from my graveyard and then destroy his monster from his field. And now we have more than enough attack power to wipe him out. So let's just go with Firewall Exceed Dragon, and then Access Code Talker. And we have taken him out on our first turn there. So that's a way to get to some really strong attack power with this Code Talker deck for Cyberse. So as promised, now we're going to talk about the deck composition. 1 dot scaper, 3 microcoder, 1 Cyberse synchron, 1 link infraflyer, 1 Cyberse converter, 1 backup secretary, 1 C archiver, 2 widget kid, 3 balancer lord, 3 Cyberse gadgets, 3 code generators, 3 lady debug, 3 code radiator, 1 clock wyvern, 3 code exporter, 2 parallel X seed, 1 monster reborn, 1 one-time passcode, 1 Cynet fusion, 3 Cynet mining, 1 Cynet storm, 1 Cynet optimization, 3 Cynet codec, 1 drowning mirror force. And now for the extra deck, we have Cyberse Clock Dragon, Cyberse Integrator, Cyberse Quantum Dragon, Firewall Exceed Dragon, Code Talker, Security Dragon, Clock Spartoy, Code Talker Inverted, Splash Mage, Decode Talker, Xcode Talker, Transcode Talker, Firewall Dragon, Access Code Talker, Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. And that is the deck. Feel free to copy or to make your own based around this. I'm finding it to be reasonably consistent, but the biggest weakness with the deck for sure is if you do get your massive combo chain interrupted and you spent a lot of resources getting it out, it can leave you with few options to move on. But if you'd like to see how this deck does online, I've got 2 videos currently up of me taking this deck online. A little bit different, admittedly. I've made some changes just today, but it's generally the same techniques used. So as always, people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.